Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 18. This episode is called Resilience in Action, the Entrepreneur's Leap. So, I have a very special guest with me today, Brenda Ramirez. And just a little bit about Brenda. Brenda is a Latina, 50-year-old. I don't know if age matters, and actually, age doesn't matter. So, I'm not going to mention this. But Brenda is Latina from my great state of New Jersey. And Brenda has made honestly, a remarkable impact through both her roles as an entrepreneur as well as a philanthropist. And for those of you who know me, I absolutely love any philanthropic efforts. So I'm a big fan of Brenda's already. And so Brenda has 16 years of experience in the medical field, and she actually founded her own credentialing company, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. And that credentialing company is really, it was founded to streamline certification processes for healthcare professionals. And then additionally, Brenda established a nonprofit organization, which I know Brenda will tell us a little bit more about on our call. But I know I've said a lot. So, Brenda, why don't you take over? Why don't you share a little bit more about yourself and anything that you want the audience to know?
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. So, like you mentioned, my name is Brenda. Yes, I am 50 years old, but I do not feel that way. uh, I don't think that age is a number that really matters a lot, but
Agreed. Agreed.
so I actually started my own credentialing company this year. It's called BLR Credentialing Services LLC, and it's geared towards streamlining the processes of payer enrollment, licensing, and
Hmm.
hospital privileging. I've been working in the field for almost 16 years in the credentialing and medical billing and payer enrollment field. I actually have about 20 years of medical experience behind my belt in regarding to the entire medical practice realm.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
I've done it all. I've done from um, gynecological exams to procedures to booking an appointment. So I have personal knowledge of how a provider's offices are run, and that is why I created this company so that I can take my personal experiences and helping these new providers that are either graduating from medical school or have decided to go solo or even decided to join another group and they need to be credentialed and made participating with different carriers. So
Sure,
yeah, that's it.
absolutely. No, and I think that, and thank you, Brenda, for sharing that because I think I believe there's going to be a lot of providers who are going to be listening in on this. And I think,
Mhm.
just based on my limited understanding of credentialing, is that sometimes providers don't know where to start or where to begin. So I know that a lot of folks that are listening in are going to hopefully get a lot of value from this conversation. Hopefully, are going to reach out to you to obviously take your experience and apply it to their business. So I think you kind of touched on what I was going to ask next. So I was going to actually ask you, so what motivated you to take the leap from, working within the healthcare credentialing field, as an employee to starting your own business? So you touched a little bit about, what kind of motivated you, but are there any additional motivating factors that really spurred you to open up your own business?
Yes, well, definitely. Again, from having this experience from both the clinical side and the insurance side, I have new ideas and I'm trying to come up with these new processes that
Hmm.
I feel that I should use them myself to continue to elevate myself and those that are around me to just make it a lot easier, make it more streamlined, have there be a lot less of the middleman and continue to give the providers the services that they need so that they can continue to provide good medical care to the patients. And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. You know, you have a doctor that wants to see a patient that's coming in, but unfortunately, either the patient pay if the provider is not participating with that insurance, the patient is going to try to find another provider,
Oh yeah.
and that's causing a lot of, delays in patient care. So what I want to do is take my knowledge that I have in all these years to help that, not only the provider, but also the patient as well.
Absolutely. And Brenda, I'm a huge fan of that. I mean, I'm a big healthcare advocate, patient advocate. And so anything that eventually, helps with better patient outcomes or, is ultimately helping the patient. I'm a big fan of and I like that you mentioned you want to take away, some of the stress and streamline the processes for these providers so that they could do what they do best, which is again, healthcare, right? And providing
Right.
for the patients that they're caring for.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. I think
absolutely.
it's very important that that patient doctor interaction is not interrupted by something as simple as, oh, you're not participating, you can't see that patient.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I am so grateful for individuals like you because I mean, I know in right, in my own health journey and as a patient who uh at one point had a chronic illness. And I say one point, so for folks that are listening, I had a successful stem cell transplant and have been in remission with MS for 8 years. And so that's why I say one point. But I know
Amazing.
yeah, thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you. And that's why, I say individuals such as yourself who are really removing the provider burden, ultimately are helping patients like me who, who have had to switch providers often because of, insurance concerns. So again,
Mhm.
thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's my pleasure, and I'm hoping that I can continue to participate in that doctor-patient relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. And can you share, so Brenda, right? So you opened up your own business, which congratulations, because I know how I know number one, that is such a risk, right? That is it can be so challenging. But can you share maybe some of the biggest challenges that so in starting your own credentialing business, what are some challenges that you've faced so far in building your business from the ground up?
Well, I think that we can all say financially, that's our biggest hurdle to
Yep.
come through. I think that is something every entrepreneur can say is like, I don't have the money to get started. Um, but other than that, it's been about making sure that I have the correct uh, people next to me that
Mhm,
are have the same mindset that I do of wanting to provide that service to the providers, um, connecting with banks and insurance companies that understand my mindset and
mhm,
that it's not about the dollar sign, it's about getting the job done properly and correctly the first time. So, yes, aside from financially,
mhm,
that's been one of the biggest challenges. But again, surrounding myself with like I mentioned, banking, insurances that are aware of my need. And I've had to do a lot of research myself, this insurance and that insurance. And I'm talking about liability insurance. And,
mhm.
obviously you have to be fully insured as you have a business, which was part of the research that I had to do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, there are several. I think it's so nuanced, right? Having your own business and having to uncover what are all the different things that you need to do.
Hmm.
But right, but I love that you mentioned, getting some of these providers, maybe or and even team members, right? Eventual team members to understand that it's not
Correct.
about just the money and cutting corners. It's about doing the job and doing it right and doing it well.
Yes,
Right? Um,
correct.
and so no, we are absolutely on the same page. And so you're also, Brenda, and so for folks that don't know, again, you have a lot of experience in the nonprofit space. And so I just think through your and again, I don't want to talk for you. So if you would share a little bit more about some of the work that you've done. I feel just from what I know about you, you are not only are you such a great contributor to society with your philanthropic efforts, and even with the work you've done in credentialing as an employee, as well as now starting your own business. But I think a lot of these things have made you incredibly resilient, right? So in dealing with maybe some of these obstacles that you're saying, or these challenges that you face in opening your own business, so what role in your mind, what role has resilience played in overcoming maybe some of those obstacles during this journey as a first time entrepreneur? And I hope I'm not wrong in saying that, first time entrepreneur. uh
No, you're correct.
okay. Okay.
It is my first time starting my own business. I've always been an employee. So you are correct in that statement.
Okay. And so what role do you think resilience has played? Because I do think, right, to start your own business, you absolutely have to be resilient. Because I think there's going to be times, and there may have already been times for you. I know there definitely have been for me, where
Mhm.
you get knocked down, and you think to yourself, "Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Did I make a huge mistake?"
It's 100% correct. It's at those times where you're like feel so overwhelmed that you're like, I'm just going to throw my hands up and give up. But having that mindset that, you know what, this is just a bump in the road. Take your challenges one at a time. Consistently be your own biggest cheerleader. That is something that a lot of people forget. Oh, I need somebody cheering me on in my corner. I'm like, yes, that's great. But knowing and having that mindset that you are your own biggest cheerleader and you have to pat yourself in the back and talk to yourself. Have conversations, with yourself saying, you know what? Okay, so this didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. What are my options? Working with my nonprofit and my kids, I always tell them there's an entire alphabet. If plan A doesn't work, you got all the way to Z until
Hmm.
you make it work. So don't let that bump in the road stop you. Find an alternate route, plan B through Z. And you know what? Then jump into the Greek alphabet. Keep going, never stop, one step at a time.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So obviously we're not on camera, so you can't see me, but when you talked about being your own best advocate and and talking to yourself, and yeah, it's great to have people support you, but you have to believe in yourself. You have to advocate for yourself. I was sitting here doing a fist pump like, yes, yes, because because I feel the same way. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's great to, have people who advocate for us and who support us. But honestly, we have to love ourselves first. We have to advocate for ourselves first. And then, all the other support that we get from external sources, in my opinion, is just icing on the cake, right?
exactly. Perfectly
Exactly.
worded.
And so what advice, Brenda, would you give to someone in the healthcare industry who's maybe considering starting their own business? Do you have any advice for some? Because I know, again, that there are some folks on my LinkedIn, and maybe some even folks who are going to tune into this on Spotify or YouTube, who either work in healthcare as an employee, or maybe already have their own business and maybe are thinking about starting a new venture. So, any advice for those individuals?
Do your research. Make sure that you know your target market, and surround yourself with like-minded people that are going to help you succeed. Um, Make sure that you leave yourself room to shift gears. Don't let the little things stop you from moving forward. And a lot of us, we can handle the big problems, the big issues, but when something small, what they say, that little pebble in the shoe, don't let that little pebble stop you. Do your research, surround yourself with like-minded people, and don't let the small things stop you. The big things most of us can handle, it's the little things that will throw us off every single time.
Oh my gosh, great, great advice. And again, I couldn't agree more. I think I think something that a lot of us maybe suffer from, and I know and I'm definitely one of them, is perfectionism, right? Where we think, okay, well,
Mhm.
I can't get started yet because things aren't perfect yet. I don't have the right funding or the right resources or the right tools or the right location, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think sometimes these challenges or things that we see as obstacles, sometimes which are sometimes truly are small. And I'm not saying that financing is small or location is small, but things that are sometimes small, they prevent us from moving forward. So I think that is absolutely great advice. I remember, Brenda, so when I started, right before I was starting this podcast, I had just severed or I had just ended a relationship with a company that I was working with. And I remember I was speaking to Melody, so Melody being my best friend, and as you know, Melody, um,
Yeah.
Melody and I were speaking, and I was honestly, I was bored. I've worked since I was, gosh, since 10. I mean, starting from delivering newspapers, and I was saying to Melody, and did you do that too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes.
I love it. I love it. And Melody and I were talking, and I said to her, I was like, Mel, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I'm bored at home. I was like, I need to do something. And she says, well, you've always wanted to be in radio. Why don't you pursue that? And I said, well, given where I'm at in my career, that would be a big jump, and I don't know if, that's a huge risk, and I don't know if I'm willing to do that. And then she said, "Well, you've also talked about starting a podcast. Why don't you do that?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't have the equipment. I don't have the right location." Again, all those, honestly, they were excuses, right? And
Yes.
so Melody said, "No," she said, put a date on the calendar that next Friday you are airing your first episode, and everything else you will figure out along the way. You will make it happen.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what I did. And but honestly, and I think the other thing that you mentioned, which I adore and I couldn't agree more with, is having the right people in your corner. I think when you're starting your own business, learning from other entrepreneurs and surrounding yourself with positive people, uh,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not saying that individuals who maybe have negative feedback are saying it out of a place of malice. Maybe, their family who are truly concerned or care for you, but
Mhm.
right. But I agree. Surrounding yourself with the right people.
And even the people that give you that negative feedback, you take that feedback, you learn from it, and you modify. So, because if one person gave you a negative feedback, there may be other people feeling the same way. So you can take that feedback, learn from it, and adapt to be able to continue to move forward in the right direction. So it's all about adapting and learning how to shift. It's
Um,
like a football game, you got to learn how to shift to the left, to the right, and that's how you move.
Absolutely. And it's I'm glad you're mentioning that. I'm glad we're talking about, adapting and adaptability, because I think my last episode I was talking about being agile, right?
Hmm.
Using agile methodologies and principles actually to manage health conditions, but I think being agile in our life is absolutely imperative because, yeah, like you said, right, things aren't always going to go the way that we planned, and that's okay. But it's about having maybe a plan B, plan C, plan Z, a Greek alphabet, having, but
There you go.
right, knowing that
Yeah,
that you have to pivot.
exactly. Learn how to pivot and learn how to not step on your own feet or trip
Yes.
your own self up, because we all know sometimes we can all be our own worst enemies.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Isn't that the
just
truth?
this, that's when you have to have your inner monologues.
Absolutely, absolutely. And oh, those inner monologues are so important. So
Hmm.
important. And so,
Definitely.
Brenda, how do you balance like again, I don't have familiarity with credentialing, so I am
Mhm.
very new to this. But how do you balance the technical demands of credentialing with maybe the business side of running your own company?
Well, the great thing about this field that I'm currently in is that pretty much every health insurance has a portal, a secure portal where I can go in and submit applications for providers. So there is no breach in data. Very few carriers, and I'm talking about those little small health insurances that continue to require paper applications. But the great thing is that, yes, we need to invest in a system where we can host our providers' information in a secure manner. But these health insurances, they all have portals. Medicare has Paycos. Availity hosts hundreds of health insurance carriers where we can submit applications. So the technology is already there, and I want to be able to use that technology that is already being given to us to make my business be more efficient. Because if you submit it online, you can track it online.
Mm-hmm.
That way, and you see like a live progress of the work that you've done. It tells you the application has been received, it's being reviewed, it's in processing, it's in auditing stage, it's in front of the committee for approval, or maybe it's sent back with a development because they need additional information, or they need clarification on maybe the provider specialty.
Mm-hmm.
So the technical demands of it, I am blessed to say that it's already in place.
Uh,
And I plan to use every avenue that is out there to be able to achieve my goal.
Absolutely. And wow. Thank you for sharing that so very much. And so what are some strategies, Brenda, that maybe that you've used to stay resilient and really maintain your vision during tough times? Because I'm sure, again, I know a lot of us, yeah, entrepreneurship is great, and I can't tell you how many people have said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky! You have your own company now, et cetera, et cetera." And it always makes me smile because yes, it's nice to work for yourself and to maybe have that freedom, but there are challenges, right, that come with it, and
Mhm.
there are roadblocks, and you are going to go through tough times. But what are maybe some strategies, Brenda, that maybe you've used to stay resilient and to maintain your vision and to know, look, yes, I'm going through a tough time, but this is the end goal, and that I need to stay focused on that goal.
Correct. So one of the things that I've done, and my team members that are, like I said, we have that people that are cheering you on and you need to surround yourself with. I set daily goals for myself. Today I'm going to go in and design a website, and
Mm-hmm.
go in and decide daily goals, small goals. Every every day set a goal for yourself, um, and take it one day at a time. Don't worry about what's going to happen 3 years from now. Worry about today, what I'm going to accomplish today, what my goal is for today, and to celebrate the victories. Celebrate even the smallest victory, celebrate it, because that's just going to give you more um, fuel. Will give you more fire so that you can continue to set bigger goals and accomplish bigger things. And that's how I actually run my day-to-day life, is setting small goals for myself. And again, with my nonprofit, we do the same thing. We set up small goals. Okay, this week, this is what we're doing. And we have group chats where, okay, did you achieve your goal? You did not achieve your goal. Well, why do you think you didn't achieve it? And then what can we do to achieve it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you put too much on your plate, it may not necessarily go so well. So set yourself small goals and
Yes.
celebrate the small victories.
Absolutely. It's funny, Brenda. I'm sitting here smiling because I feel like, in a way, I needed this conversation maybe just as much as you did. Because you said, small goals, and sometimes you don't want to take on too much because I know. So a lot of what you've said has made the project manager in me very happy, has made the scrum master in me very happy. But I think, again, you kind of reinforced what I know to be true, which is, if you take on too much, yeah, set small goals and celebrate victories, but also, don't overwhelm yourself, because I know I have a tendency to do that. I have a tendency to take on much more than I
Mhm.
can handle, and then I get burned out. But I like your approach of, setting and and I that's something that I've done as a scrum master, setting small daily goals, just not just for me, but for my team. um I think that is so important. And then what I love that you also said is, again, celebrating small victories, because I think it's very easy to be hard on ourselves, especially when things aren't going as planned or as we envisioned they would go.
Yes,
Yeah. So
100%. Yeah.
and so Brenda, I know we're getting to the end of our call, and I do this with all of my guests. So if so when you were a little girl, right, and you were thinking about what you wanted to be when you grew up, I have a feeling there wasn't 5 or 10-year-old Brenda saying, "I want to be a credentialing specialist," right?
No.
So when
She
you
wanted to be an international translator. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to travel the world and be able to speak every language and translate for the United Nations. That was her goal, yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love that. I love that, love that, love that. Tell me more about that, because I know, Brenda, right, obviously you speak English, you speak Spanish. Just out of
Yes.
curiosity, do you speak any other languages?
Um, some different lingos in different Spanish. Obviously, we know Spanish. It's just they say it's, you have good English and bad English, but
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, there's different dialects. So I do know that. I know your basic ASL, American Sign Language, a little bit Portuguese, not a lot. I'm not very fluent in it, but I can maneuver a conversation.
Okay, okay. I love that. It's funny, Melody and I laugh about this all the time, because I speak a few different languages, and I say that I speak Spanglish. Well, no, I think my Spanish is better. It's better than Spanglish, but Melody might disagree. uh, and then I also speak a few words of Polish. So, but again, Melody, if she was sitting here with us right now, she would be giving me a side eye, like, but do you really?
Oh, I've done the same thing. She'll say something in Polish, and I'm like, well, that's not true. And she's like, she looks at me like, did you really just understand that? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that is so funny. That is so funny. Um, well, thank you, Brenda, thank you for sharing, because I'm always so interested to know, where people end up in their career in adulthood versus, where they wanted to be. I know when I was a little girl, well, I've actually switched back and forth. So at one
Mhm.
point I wanted to be a teacher, but I really wanted to be a Bollywood actress or a Bollywood dancer. And then later on in life, I really wanted to be on radio. I love being on the microphone. I love speaking to people. And so that didn't happen. But if someone had told me that I would eventually be a project manager, I would be like, no way, no way. But you know what? I truly feel we all end up where we're supposed to be for a reason, right? And
Exactly.
and I think you, Brenda, not just, with, being having been an employee in the credentialing space, a healthcare credentialing space, even in opening up your own business, I think your purpose was not just to help providers, but as we spoke about earlier, really to help patient outcomes and make the patient experience better. So I appreciate everything that you do, and I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I hope a lot of individuals look into your business, contact you, because not only are you a professional, Brenda, but you are a down to earth, good human being. And I really do wish you nothing but success.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's very kind. And my URL, it's just BLR Credentialing Services.com. And they can send me a message. I'll get it through WhatsApp. I'll get it via text or via email. Um, any question? No, there's no question too big or no question too small.
Okay, terrific. And thank you for sharing that. And I'll definitely catch up with you after the call, Brendan, to make sure I get that correct URL, because once we do post this episode, which is going to air Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be sure to include that URL so individuals know
Thank you.
how to contact you. You
Thank
are
you
so
so
welcome.
much.
And thank you again for being on this podcast.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Okay, have a wonderful day, Brenda.
You too.
Thank you.